We're here with the Co-opta crew.
We are.
What is this? Day zero? Day
Day
one?
one.
Day one-ish?
Day one.
Day 0. No, day 1's tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
It's press conference day.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we had 4 press conferences today. We went to 2. We streamed 1, and
Didn't.
the other one we didn't care about. Well, we cared, but
Sour grapes.
yeah. Ah,
We just didn't want to hear about Just Dance again.
Right.
yeah. So Ubisoft, they apparently had a press conference today. The only new announcement was the Tom Clancy's MMO.
Yeah.
So we can kind of gloss over them, I guess. I mean,
Well,
Everything
they
else
showed more Watch Dogs, but Watch Dogs was at Sony's
Sony.
press conference. They showed more Assassin's Creed
That
at
was
Sony's
at
press conference, and we don't care about Just Dance. I don't know
No.
if either of
they
you two
they
do.
showed the Rocksmith game, which
Yeah,
Best
apparently
co-op.
Jerry Cantrell was out there.
okay.
You know, half of Alice in Chains.
Great.
Well, let's talk Sony. 'Cause that's,
Sure.
that's
That was a big
deal.
one, yeah.
That's the-
And we haven't talked about that yet, but there's some cool stuff happening.
Yeah.
They ran basically game after game after game. Then they had a little break with movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Game.
they had a break where Littlefinger came out and
Yeah.
talked about.
Yeah.
They talked about how are we going to put the entertainment into your home, and it's
Sure.
great. I don't care. All right. When I watch movies at home, I watch them all on my PS3 because it has a Blu-ray player, and I wasn't going to buy another Blu-ray player when I had a $600 one that I bought at
Yeah.
launch. But yeah, it was all about the games. They really came out swinging. Just the sizzle reel that they showed before the press conference had more games in it than all the other press conferences smushed together.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget the stat off the top of my head, but it was something like 40 games, I believe, in development for the PlayStation 4 right now.
Yeah, and
And
12 new
I
IPs.
think, yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah,
In the first year, though, didn't you say?
Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
first year. It was quite a bit, so they definitely are going to have a lot of games. But they did open with the reveal here of the PlayStation 4 hardware. I'm sure Locke can cut in a nice,
Yeah.
better picture of that. But
It's an italicized Xbox One. I
to
believe.
put it in the words of
Andrew.
our late conspirator Andrew.
yeah, so it looks smaller than we thought it would be. You know,
Yeah, it actually
good.
looks.
Pretty slick.
Yeah.
That doesn't look any bigger than a slim PS3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we'll get to price because price was the very last thing. But they showed a lot of games. But the big thing, there was a huge focus on indie.
I thought that was the best thing about it.
Yeah, definitely.
And it wasn't.
It wasn't fake indie like Microsoft saying like Insomniac, the greatest indie developer of
Yeah.
our days. Like, not so sure about
I
that.
think Microsoft's a little confused as to exactly what indie is. You know, they even when Phil Harrison was out there on stage, he talked about that they've helped 40 studios publish 200 games. 40 indie studios publish
Right.
200 games. You know, I think he's specifically just talking about like Xbox Live Arcade over the years
Yeah.
and stuff. And a lot of those had publisher support and stuff like that. They weren't true indie studios and stuff. You know, Minecraft, like yeah, it's indie, but
It's a little
man,
past
those-
the indie
those
stage
guys
at
had
this
a lot,
point.
They had a lot of money. And
There's
Yeah.
a large gap of
Yeah.
indie at Minecraft and Insomniac and indie at
Well, it seems like indie to
BSA.
Sony is indie as we think of it on PC and anything else,
Yeah.
and indie at Microsoft is
not a direct
Established-
publisher.
no direct publisher but established property, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Anyways, they had a really cool sort of showcase of a quick 10, 15 seconds of these really cool indie games right on stage there with the developers playing them.
yeah.
They came out with Supergiant,
Yeah.
with
Yeah. Transistor.
Yeah.
and then proceeded to go through a ton like
Don't Starve coming to PS4.
Don't Starve with Clay, Abe's Odyssey remake,
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
a bunch of others that escape me. They got Skulls of the Shogun guys. I forget their name, but they're making a
17-bit.
17-bit, making an open world twin stick shooter
Yeah.
sort of thing going on.
That just breaks my brain.
I know it's weird, but
Yeah,
it
they're-
seems like they're willing to take these chances with these,
self-publishing.
and it's self-published. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, do whatever you want. So, which I think is big because I find with the older I get and the more I play, I want to taste these different ideas and I'm willing to take a $10, $15, $20 risk,
Yeah.
right? Or even $5. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter. They name the price.
I'm anxious to
sometimes.
see how they do it. You know, when they say self-publish, if it's going to be more of like the Apple kind of model, where you'll
Goes through a
submit
curation
it, goes through a
process.
curation process and
I
stuff.
mean,
or-
they'd have to, and they can't risk
You know,
something
well-
AO slipping through their ratings.
Yeah. I mean, it could be community driven too.
Yep.
How it's, I don't know. They haven't said anything, but I mean, just the simple fact that they are allowing
Yeah.
self-publishing and stuff on it. And they have made a pretty big push recently with their development tools. The Vita especially has been seeing a lot of stuff there. They made those tools free, so they're definitely
Yeah, I was watching my Twitter feed through the press conference, and all the indie developers I follow were just rooting them on.
Yeah.
They said, "This is great. This is what we've been asking for. Sony's been listening."
yeah, because Microsoft largely just abandoned what they had. They had a good thing going, and they had some trouble, but instead of trying to fix the problem, they just kind of said, "Well, not
Whatever.
worth our time."
Yeah.
It's
So-
kind of funny. I looked at what Sony brought to the table today, and it made a lot more sense that Microsoft would start leaning on its entertainment partners a lot heavier with Xbox One, because it seems like they're trying to, like they said today was all about the games, but it seems like they're pushing more towards that direct middle ground that the 360 has eventually become. 360 was originally all about games, and then it started being
Shifted,
transmedia
yeah.
properties, and then it's basically my dashboard is equal part ad for games, ads for entertainment properties. And today they showed a lot of great games, but that the whole entire conference that they had a couple weeks ago at the reveal, that was nothing but here's our content partners. Look at all the great content
Right.
partners we have. Look at them go.
Yeah,
And yeah.
Anyways, so let's circle back. They
Sure.
showed a lot of this same stuff. Things like Infamous, Killzone, Knack. They
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
up there as well. Am I missing other ones?
They showed the tech demo from Quantic Dream.
Right.
which
Yeah, the
they
old
said-
man head.
Yeah,
Old
old
man
man head grew
The
a body.
Dark Sorcerer. Which,
Yeah.
I guess tomorrow they're going to unveil the full 12-minute demo of whatever that is. It kind of took an interesting turn there at the
Yeah.
end, where it went a little
The
comedic.
digital actor went off flubbed his lines
Yeah.
and started
Yeah.
getting a little aggro.
Green
at the
screens went
director.
down. So.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see what they do there.
And then
Ubisoft showed off a couple things we talked about.
Right.
Activision showed off Destiny.
yeah, both look
Warner
fine.
Brothers
Borderlands Halo.
a Mad Max game,
Oh,
Yeah.
which was kind of out of left field.
And
It was
that-
it was just kind of a teaser trailer.
But
who did that steampunk game?
That was Santa Monica Studio.
Right,
yeah,
Or
that-
Way Forward.
Yeah.
That I forget what it was called, but it's
The Order 1886.
There you go. That looked pretty neat
Steampunk
too.
squad shooter.
Yeah, somebody said it was Left 4 Dead Werewolves.
That's
basically.
I'm down.
I'm down with that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it looked decent. So yeah, there wasn't a whole lot. Like, we didn't see anything from Naughty Dog.
No. Well,
They
opened
showed
with
another
Last of
trailer
Us.
for
Yeah,
Last of
I'm
Us.
saying in terms of
No,
PS4
nothing new,
stuff,
yeah.
but yeah, I think Sony's positioned itself pretty well, and obviously big thing, which they came
Yeah, I
out-
get to that sort of end part where
They-
they kind of
they
just
came out-
left it off.
They came out swinging, and they, Microsoft last week, they put out their digital rights for games, or whatever we want to call the bullshit.
Here's our rules for DRM.
Which I'm still confused about. Like,
Sony's basically like, you do what you want with your games. You can trade them in. We're not going to have any limitation. There's no always online.
The big thing is that the disc-based games don't require an install, I think is what they implied.
Yeah, well, the Microsoft thing, they did clarify how that was going to work. It was more like how the original Xbox was, where it had a streaming kind of spot set up on the hard drive.
Oh, okay.
Like it wasn't like you sat there through an install process. So they did clarify that, but yeah. So Sony basically everything Microsoft said they're going to do that was
Sony
ridiculous.
said no.
Sony said not going to happen. So that was a pretty big deal. And then, of course, there was the price point, which Microsoft announced today at $4.99. We talked about that earlier, and Sony was like, "How about $3.99?" And a lot of people are on board now, on board the Sony train.
Yeah.
And I pre-ordered a system right after the press conference. I knew I was going to get one of them this fall, and I'm last time I went Xbox first because it had a year head start,
Yeah.
yeah,
and this time I'm like,
yeah.
given the choice between spending $900 or $400, I'm going to spend $400.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is one thing that did get confirmed later. PlayStation Plus is now a little bit more like Xbox Live Gold.
For multiplayer,
you
right?
need PlayStation Plus for multiplayer gaming online.
But they also announced that the Instant Game Collection is going to at launch have Drive Club in it.
Right, which is a launch title on the system. So it's not like...
Remember, Xbox is going to give you Halo 3
and Assassin's
Creed 2,
you know.
some hot titles
Yeah.
if you haven't played those yet.
Yeah. So...
But that would get me to play Drive Club, which I normally wouldn't.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah,
I'd play
exactly.
that. I'd be
Yeah.
like, do you guys want to go race? Yeah, let's just go play.
Let's go bro out like a few bros.
Yeah.
Drive our cars.
Switching gears and stuff.
Yeah.
No, it was pretty cool to hear that, and being a already subscriber of Plus, it doesn't matter to me. So.
Yeah, I don't mind giving money to that kind of service. When when it was just multiplayer only, yeah, it irked me a little bit. But there's definitely on both sides. They're doing more to make your money work.
And I mean, I haven't bought a Vita game yet, mostly because I can just get free stuff. Yeah. I guess Soul Sacrifice, but.
I was annoyed that they didn't talk about the Final Fantasy X remake, but I was excited personally when Square came out and announced Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, right.
Kingdom Hearts 3, which, the Kingdom Hearts games, after 1 and 2, skipped the entire last generation and just did side spin-offs for the portables.
Yeah.
And people have been wanting Kingdom Hearts 3 forever.
Like a proper
So
one.
they finally announced that, and Final Fantasy Versus 13 is now Final Fantasy 15,
Right.
which made me laugh because Final Fantasy Versus 13 was announced alongside Final Fantasy 13, which came out almost 4 years to the day after it was announced.
Right.
And
It
Final
was
Fantasy
weird.
13 is 3 years old now.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
yeah.
But overall, I thought it was a really good conference. All the conferences I thought were pretty decent.
On the whole, they were a lot better than normal.
They're really
There's
well done.
Microsoft's was better simply because they didn't talk about their content partners at all.
Yeah, that was smart, I think. Especially, they did that at their
So
media
here's
briefing.
the interesting thing, and we didn't really bring it up, is Microsoft has their whole DRM thing,
Right.
and there was a pretty big thing at Microsoft's conference with EA. They have the Titanfall game, right?
Yeah.
That's published. You saw a lot of EA games demoed there.
Yeah.
Sony, EA didn't show up to the press conference
No.
at all. And
That's kinda weird.
So, but you did see Activision, you did see Ubisoft, you saw some other publishers there. So you have to wonder, the whole thing. EA was Project $10, right? Their whole thing, and they made the big deal about used games. So it could be a rift there. It could be interesting.
Yeah.
See what happens.
We'll see. And you also have to keep in mind, we kind of talked about this offline, but the price differences that connect, right?
Yeah.
Like, and again, if everyone has a Kinect already, this one's being packaged in. I don't know. It's weird to me that people are flipping out over this price difference. It's funny that Sony did it, and I see why they did it, and it's a very smart move. But I mean,
Do you wonder if they actually said, okay, we're going to wait for Microsoft, like, we want to sell this for $500, but we'll wait and see what Microsoft does, and we can sell this at a little bit of a loss. And when Microsoft pulled their trigger,
I think so.
Sony just reacted. It's all right.
I don't know enough of the inside baseball, but my first gut reaction is yes.
I'm sure they had a couple of price points lined up.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. I bet you if Microsoft would have said $400, they would have said like $379.
Maybe.
They would have undercut them no matter what.
Well, they had the specter of $599 US, hanging over their heads. So a ghost just tried to get in our room. But yeah, I find it. I think it'll be really interesting because the DualShock 4 has the sensor bar thing in it, and they kind of got rid of PS Move, right?
Yeah.
PS Move isn't a thing, but if they bring back a motion controller at some point, does the system then become a $500 system?
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't. Did they announce how big of a hard drive is in the PS4.
Neither. I don't think either of them announced.
No, the 360 said 500
500
gigs.
gigs.
Yeah.
No, Sony
I
didn't-
can't imagine. Like the PS3 comes stock with like a 320 now. I can't imagine it being
500 gigs probably standard
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So no, that's cool. It's exciting stuff, and yeah, looking forward to getting our hands on some of the other
Games.
games we saw. So I
Cool.
think that does it for Sony and day zero ish types of stuff. Yeah, we'll go out there tomorrow and give her hell.
All right.
Sounds good.
Yeah.